which is that we obviously went through this very significant, although in my opinion rather artificial event this summer. So I'd like to get your thoughts on the Tea Party and its influence on the process, and also on the possibility of a threat of default to our debt.
Wow. Okay, well, let's start with the Tea Party. Even before that, I want to say something about political process, and it's sort of crazy for me to speak about it with Senator Gregg because he knows more about it than I do. But political process. One of the lessons I learned in Washington is it's almost impossible to get something big and difficult and controversial done without a crisis. Twice we got Congress to act, and they did it before the system collapsed, but it took a crisis. And even if the vast majority of members of Congress, in my judgment, understood the deficit and were determined to do something about it, it would still be an ugly process to get there, and it would take time to be an ugly process. Now I'll get to the Tea Party. I have all my Republican friends and Democrat friends and everybody, mainly Democrats, asking me about the Tea Party and trying to put me on the spot or get me to defend them. I start off by saying, you know what, the Tea Party didn't come onto Capitol Hill with guns and take over by force. They were elected. Elections have consequences, and voters on both parties respond to the people who voted for them. And there were a lot of people that came in the last election that the voters wanted them to come in and change government. And I'm hoping that the next election, the voters will say, you know what, we want you to come in and compromise and solve problems and fix the major problems and fix what's wrong. We want you to do that. Maybe I'm being naive, but I would like to see the fiscal deficit be the centerpiece of a campaign. And then whoever wins feels motivated to come in and solve these problems. But the electorate's got to be educated, because right now, you know what voters are telling people in Washington? We want benefits that we don't want to pay for. You know? We want benefits we don't want to pay for. And how selfish is that? Because, you know, all of you who were students here, your parents want what I want for my kids. I want them to have the same opportunity I have, and I'd make great sacrifices for them to have that opportunity. But in our country, we've got my generation being incredibly selfish, not willing to make a sacrifice, and the people that will pay for it is the next generation. But anyway, I think we need a mandate. Now, on the debt ceiling, what I say to people on that, and I've said it all the way along whenever I got asked, what I said is, there's no danger of default. Leaders on both sides said repeatedly that they were going to raise the debt ceiling. So it was an ugly process to get there. It wasn't pleasant. But again, I come back to what I said earlier, that to get major reform, you're going to have to get people that are going to want to cooperate, compromise, and I think we're going to need another election to get us there. But at least I never thought we were in danger of default, and at least the American people now have had a real education.